Hello everyone. In this video, we'll discuss about data definition language. What are all the data definition language? And the commands comes under DDL. That is nothing but data definition language. The first one is a create table, and the second one is alter. So in the alter, we can add columns. We can modify the column constraints. Also, we can drop the database or the tables, and we can truncate. The truncate means basically removing the records from the table. There is one more thing, rename, that comes under DDL, right? So let's discuss one by one. So the first thing, a create table. Yes, we have already created a table. So let's not worry as of now, because we already created a table in the previous video. And we know that the syntax is create table, and this is your table name, right? You can give any table name, and these are columns, and integer is, it says that okay, so this column must be integer, right? And this is the maximum length of a column, right? The data what we enter must not exceed this length. And not null, right? This is what we have seen in the earlier video, but we did not discuss. So when I say not null, right? So basically the idea here is that my columns in this particular table, right, should have a null data or not. When I say null or not null, so one must enter data into this column, right? This column should not have empty. This column should not have any empty, right? Whenever you are entering a data for the name, right? So it must have the data inside the ID column, right? So making sure that one must enter data into this ID column. So in that case, I will set it to not null, right? It should not have a null. Similarly, one more column, comma, column, and this is basically varying characters up to 20. So maximum character it should take is only 20. It can have a less data, it can have a less character, but must not exceed 20. This is the maximum length again. And I'm also setting this field or a column not null. So it means that I must have a data here, right? And the same syntax is, you can see here, create table and the table name. Inside parenthesis, you can give your column name and what type of a data it is. Should it have a null or not null? And the next column. Similarly, you can keep adding many more columns. And the type. And make sure whether it should have null or not null. If it is a null, you don't need to mention this, right? Sometimes some columns can have empty, right? So in that case, you don't need to mention not null. All right, fine. So that is about a create table. The next one is add. Let's move on and try to understand the add. Add. What exactly add does? Let me take another color. Add. So this will add new column to the existing database. Right now, in the earlier video, we have created a table, test underscore table. So in that table, we had only two columns, like a employee ID, right? Let me, employee underscore ID and name. Only two columns we had. So now what we'll do, we'll try to add one more column, right? So how do I add it? The syntax for adding a new column is alter table, right? I have to alter the table. And which table? Table name is test underscore table, and there I'm saying add column. What is the column name? Phone is the column name, new column name. And should it have any what kind of a data it is? I'm just giving a varchar. We're supposed to have a int, but sometimes we add a plus, right? Plus 9, 1 or things like that. So I'm making it as a varchar, and the maximum I'm giving 15, right? Otherwise I can give only 10 as the phone number, country code, and plus this symbol, right, sign. So will be like a 13. So I'm just giving a 15, right? So anything less than 15 is also fine. And I'm saying after, right, where I should keep this particular column name. Should I add here or here or here? I'm saying after name. So it means that my phone column should have here in this place, right? So let's once again look into this, the syntax. Alter table, your table name, add column. This is a new column. Whenever I say add, obviously it is a new column, and the column name, and the type of a data, and the length of a data, and where I supposed to place this after column name, right? Let's execute this and see how things will work. So I will say alter table test underscore table name. I say add what? A column. Then give me the column name. Yes, this is the column name. And the type is varchar. And I will say the length is 15. After which column? After column name. The column name itself is a name, right? So then semicolon. Then I will enter. So what happened here? Records 0, duplicates 0. So query is okay, right? Now what we'll do to check whether we are able to add a new column or not successfully, we know that how to check the column, or I would say how to check the table. So that is description, what? Table name. Now you can see earlier we had only employee ID and name. This time we are able to add new column, that is a phone, and you can see the new column name, and the varchar we mentioned 15, right? So that is what we have done now. All right, that is about a add. Now let's look into the next one is modify, right? Modify. What is this modify? This will modify the column constraints. So what is column constraints? Like the varchar here, suppose say I given 15, right, earlier. So I can change this length from 15 to 20 or 15 to 10, right? So I can alter that one. I can modify that one, right? So earlier I gave a 15. What we'll do? Okay, 15 is not right number, so I will change it to something else. Let's look into that. So with the help of modify, I will be able to do that. Let's do that. Okay. So I will say now alter table, and what is my table name? Test underscore table, and I will say modify. You can write in a small lowercase or uppercase, doesn't matter, right? So modify, and it's suggested that use the caps only. Modify, right? So what to modify? I have to modify a phone column, right? So I will say phone, phone, and I will say character. So how much? This time I will say 10 only. I will say 10. This time I will set it to not null. Not null. All right. Let's execute. Data truncated for column phone at row 1. So let's try to do something else here. Alter table test underscore table modify say phone. So I had a var char and I will say it is 10, right? So end. I will end it. Enter. Now it is query OK. So earlier it was var char. So I tried to write a char only. That is the reason it was giving me a problem. So now let's see that whether it was giving a problem because of a not null, right? That's also, let's check that as well. Alter table test underscore table modify phone var char. So I will set it to 13 now again, and I will say not null. Enter. Yeah, invalid use of null value. So I cannot use because earlier it was set to null. All right. So fine. Because of the not null, it was giving me a problem. Now, what I will do? Let's check whether char will work with a var char. Okay. So alter table test underscore table modify phone number column. I will say char. So I will set it to 13. Yes. So you can change it using a char also. So var char was not a problem. So the idea what we are trying to see here is the reason why I'm trying to do multiple combination. So this is how I will be able to check what is the problem, right? By checking different combinations. Not null, we thought that okay, maybe character was the problem, and I used var char, it worked, and later I realized that maybe not null, because of not null it was giving a problem, and yes, it was giving a problem because of a not null, right? Invalid use of a null value. Fine. So you can use alter table test underscore table modify phone and character. You can also give a character, and now I have changed it. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to check the description. The earlier description says phone number varchar 15, right? Let me check description. Desk, what is that? Test underscore table. Now you can see that phone number or a phone field changed it to char 13. So I was able to change from varchar to char to 13 only. All right. So this way I will be able to alter or modify any field description. All right. Fine. Let's look into the other one. Drop. This will drop the database or table, whichever you want to delete. Right. Suppose say that you have so many database, and some of the database were not in use. Unnecessarily they are occupying a lot of space, right? So in that case, why do we need a database? Why do we need a tables for that matter if you are not using it? So why don't you delete it? Why don't you drop them? So that's where this drop will comes into a picture. So what is the syntax? Syntax is very simple, very simple. Just say drop. Drop what? Database, right? Drop database and database name, whatever the name. Like in our case, we had a database 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So you can drop any of them. If you want to delete this entire thing, so there may be hundreds of tables associated with database. They will also delete along with this database. All right. So here we are not going to drop them. Let's keep it. But yes, if you want to drop it, you can just give the syntax. And a drop table name, same thing. Drop table, the table name, any table name. That's all. Right? So in that case, you have to be inside that particular database. Use database, that is what we have seen, right? Be in that particular database and you can drop any tables. With that table, all the records will also get deleted. Obviously, right? If there is no table where the records will store. So syntax is very simple. Drop table name, right? So let's delete one unnecessary table. Let's see. Let's say show tables. Let's see how many tables we have. We have student and test underscore table, right? So what we'll do, we'll create one table and we'll delete it. Okay. Let's say create table, right? Table name. So I will say test, right? Create table name, and here I will give some test1 is the field name. I will say column 1. I will say integer 2, comma column 2 var char 5. Only 2 columns will create. All right. Enter. So let's check description. Uh, now let's see the tables. Show tables. Now we have a student which was already there. The new table we just created this guy, right? So we have 3 tables. Now what I will do, I will just drop the table. Let me write drop table and the table name. What is the table name? I want to delete this table. I'll just copy and paste it. Enter. Okay. Table name is dropped. And how to verify? Once again, you say show tables. Now you can see only 2 tables, right? I just created one and we dropped it. So we're able to drop successfully the table. So this way you can drop the table. And what is a truncate? Truncate basically says we'll delete all records from the table. All records from the table. Once it is deleted, you cannot roll back. Even though you do by mistake, you cannot roll it back because the records inside the data, records inside the table will be deleted. You cannot, roll it back. Roll it back means you cannot retain, we cannot pull that back. So the syntax is, syntax is very simple again. Truncate table name. Truncate table name. When we should do this, by the way? Why I want to delete the records? Suppose say I have a table, right? Let me open this. Give me a second. I think I can show you with a better example. I will open this guy. So here I have a table, right? This is a table. This is the table. Once I execute this command, right, basically truncate, and I write this syntax, right? Suppose say I'm going to write truncate table. Let me write this. This is the original table. This is the table we have. Now I will say truncate table, and this is the say table name student marks. I will say student underscore marks. So once I execute this, what is going to happen? The table looks like this. The table will have only column names. That's all. No records. All the records are gone. These records are simply gone. So it means that if you realize that the data inside this particular table are no more useful, all junk data, but you want to retain these column names. There are hundreds of column names, maybe. Why you want to delete the table and create one more time with the same column names? So rather what I will do, I will get rid of all the records inside that. So my table will be there and the columns will remain there. Only I am deleting all the records. In that case, I am going to use the truncate. All right, fine. Let me delete all this. Okay, fine. So that is about a truncate. Here we are not going to delete any of the records because we need them. Thank you for watching this video. Keep learning. See you in the next video. Thank you.